Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is my decluttering series for 2024. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. This video is going to be 1 out of 5 different declutters that I have for you this year to clear out my makeup collection. And I know that everybody just likes to have a nosy around, so there's that as well. If you're looking for swatches, I swatched out most of my makeup collection in February, so make sure to link you to those videos down below so that you can have a peek. I have reviews up with most of these products over on the blog, or either here on the channel. So there's lots of other content that you can find where you can find, like if you're interested in looking these up. I will also have some links in the description box in case you are interested in purchasing in any of these products if they are still around, because I am part of an affiliate link program and I do have an affiliate link for most of these products as well. Just to be fully transparent here. The reason why I'm keeping the same intro around is because I always need to get a couple of things out of the way before I show you my makeup collection and before I film declutters. Please know that just because I'm decluttering my makeup collection doesn't mean you have to. I will try to rehome as many products as possible, especially if they're still really good condition. If I've only used them once or twice, they're definitely going to go to friends and family. I have a bunch of colleagues who are looking for makeup apparently, so that's where most of it is going to go probably. However, I also get rid of things because they are old or because formulas have separated or whatever. So there are also going to be a lot of things that I simply cannot pass on to people because it's just gotten to that point where I'm like, I've used this a lot. I've been into that with my finger a lot, or if it's like a product, like a lip product with a doe foot applicator, I don't necessarily feel comfortable passing that on to anyone. Please also know that just because I declutter something and it's not my favorite, that doesn't mean that it cannot be yours. I also want you to bear in mind that I do film regular content on this channel and that I have been a makeup reviewer for years. So there are a lot of products that I get to review that I kind of know in advance might not work for me. I know sometimes people feel like, why do you keep buying products by brand XYZ? Because all you do is declutter them again. I buy things to review, and that does mean that I sometimes will hang on to things because I want to keep it around to be able to film content with it. But it also means that I sometimes get rid of things because if I've bought an entire shade range of lipsticks, those aren't necessarily all going to be perfect for me, but I will keep around the 1 or 2 shades that worked for me really, really well. And those are the things that end up going into my actual makeup collection. It's just a great way to, have an overview again and clear out my makeup collection and just have it be ready for the new year. And for those people who might be new here, then it may be good to know who you're actually watching. My name is Maaike. I live in the Netherlands. I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, and I have been making content for a very, very long time. My content is mainly focused around eyeshadow palettes, Estee and Catrice, but I also really enjoy getting the use out of my makeup, so I do like to do series where I go back to older products, where, I shop my stash and not only focus on the new. So if that's something you're interested in, then I hope you'd like to consider subscribing. Welcome to declutter number 5. This is going to be the final one, and of course, I've saved the best for last. We're doing eyeshadow palettes, so if you've not seen an overview of my eyeshadow palette collection in a while, that's because I do them twice a year. I do an eyeshadow palette collection every year in April, and I show you where the current collection stands, and also some things that I keep around because I want to have them. And then the second video that goes live in the year is this one, where in March, I declutter my eyeshadow palette collection. And usually, I'll have a number. I'll say, like, I want to get rid of so many palettes this year. Last year, I wanted to do 100, and I got to 100, but I haven't really bought as many new eyeshadow palettes as I have in previous years, which also means I feel there is less for me to get rid of. But still, I do buy a lot of this for review, so if I do get rid of something, and it is your favorite, I do apologize. But yeah, there are going to be things I just need to get rid of because I've tried them, and I know, like, if I don't think I'll go back to it, I have a video series on my channel where I like to go back to some of my favorite palettes. That, if that's not the way I feel about the palette, then I know I will never use it again. and then I don't need to keep it around. What you're looking at right now is round one. This is drawer number 1, plus the things that were in my Shop My Stash. And then I still have a second drawer as well. So I hope the lighting stays okay. It's a little later in the day as I'm filming this. I'm filming all of my declutters back to back, and I hope we will have enough light for the next hour and a half that I hope to be filming this so that I can get through it. So let me just go through it and race you through it. I have reviews up with most of these things, if not everything, by the time this video goes up, that I'm going to be showing you today. So just go and look at my eyeshadow palette reviews if you want to see swatches and looks with all of the things I'm showing you here today. Let me just get to this pile here. I hope I can show you to the best of my abilities. I hope I have enough space. But here we have a NYX palette. This is the Ultimate Utopia. And this is pretty. Like, this is a pretty palette. I do really enjoy the way this looks, but I don't feel it necessarily comes together for me. So that's why I'm going to have to say goodbye to the NYX Ultimate Utopia. I'm also going to have to say goodbye to the Cozy Earth from Catrice. This is pretty. I really, really enjoy the formula of these. I've tried the other 4 in this series in the past as well. It's a really pretty palette, but you can see it gets this really weird cast, and that's what's throwing me off with this. Plus, it's not as green as I'd like it to. You only get 2 greens. Everything else is a warmer tone neutral, so that's not necessarily my vibe. I do enjoy the formula, but I can't keep every single Catrice palette that I've ever tried in my lifetime. Then I have 2 Essence palettes here, the Trust Your Intuition and the Protect Your Energy palettes. These were also new to me in Fall/Winter 2023. That's the collection. This is too warm toned for my liking. And here again, similar to the Catrice one, 3 warm tone neutrals and the rest a green. We do get a darker green in here to make it work. So in terms of like a green palette from Essence and Catrice, I like this one a bit better color story wise, but these again, I just bought to review them, and they work well enough, I'm not gonna lie, but I don't need to keep around every single Essence palette I try either. I think this way we have a bit better lighting than before. I did have to put my lighting on, so if there's any sort of weird shadows, that's why. It's just getting a little bit too dark outside. It's only 4 o'clock, but it's a very rainy day. Here we have the Pat McGrath palette. I do really enjoy this palette for sure, so that's why this is gonna stay. Here we have Ritualistic Rose. This can also stay. This would be Nocturnal Nirvana, which has some really special shades in, so I can never get myself to declutter this one. So here we have some more Pat McGrath. This is Interstellar Icon, keep. This is Fleur Fantasia, this is a keep. And I have Risque Rose, which is also a keep. These last 2 I actually decluttered last year, and then I decided to pull them because I was like, it's Pat McGrath. I don't want to get rid of these, and they do have some really pretty shades in, and now I'm really glad I kept them. We have a little Kiko guy here. This is from the Holiday Collection of 2023, the Holiday Premiere in Color Symphony. This is really pretty, and the texture in here is really interesting. I am decluttering things, don't worry. This is going to be an instant declutter. I tried this out for you. This is from Kruidvat. This is a Dutch drugstore brand, and as pretty as a color story is, let me just tell you, it didn't quite work very well. It felt like cheap makeup. So that's why this is gonna go. We have Beauty Bay Metamorphic. This is a stunning color story, but it has confirmed for me what I have known all along, and that is that I don't love the Beauty Bay formula. I do enjoy this color story, so I am gonna keep it around to have those shades here and to have a Beauty Bay palette, but I didn't love this. Over here I have the Glam Eyes palette from Wycon. I picked this up when I was in Florence. Let me turn it around. And this is really pretty. Definitely, there are mistakes here. It's not a perfect palette, but it is very, very pretty, and I do really enjoy the palette, so I want to keep this. Moving this front and center stage then, I have the Petals on Point from ColourPop, and I know a lot of people have decluttered theirs, because this is really, really, really light. Don't love the greens in here. They're so light that they don't really show up on me, but the rest of the palette is like my perfect Natasha Denona Retro Glam. I am also going to be keeping the Deja Brew from ColourPop, but I have said how I want to take this out of this like plastic packaging because I don't love it and put it together with some of my other ColourPop things that are still coming up. I definitely need to declutter some ColourPop, but I mainly want to keep the shimmer shades in the middle and like some of these neutrally things, and perhaps put this together with the That's Taupe. The Lavish was stunning. For me and my pale skin, this is a stunning lavender palette, so this is not going to go anywhere. This worked really well for me, and it's another one that got a lot of negative reviews. Pretty Please is one that I bought because you guys were recommending it to me, and I have to agree with you, it is a really pretty neutral tone palette. It's got some mauve tones, and it's got cool tones, warm tones, and neutrals all in one go, so yeah, I can't say no to that. That's really, really pretty. The one I know I need to, again, either pull some shades out of or just declutter it altogether is the Off Melrose. I bought this because ColourPop called this a cool tone palette, and I feel duped. I would only keep these two shades, maybe these three and that yellow, but the rest is essentially warm tone neutrals. So this is a bit of a boo-boo, so I'm going to declutter this one. I don't even want to pull shades out of this. I'm just going to declutter it. Then I have some recent Glam Shop palettes. This is a Polish indie brand, in case you don't know. I don't know how to pronounce these palette names, so I'm not going to try. Remember that craze with like warm tone neutrals and a green that we got in 2023? This is the palette they did and that I picked. This is really lovely. I love that one. One of my favorite palettes, if not my favorite palette of 2023, the Simna Mocha. This is a very nice light cool tone neutral palette. Love that. And then this was on sale, the Fioletti, which is their purple palette. Not a standalone palette for me at all, but I have some other Glam Shop palettes that we'll get to in a minute that this goes with really, really well. And another two that I actually decluttered last year, but I pulled them from my stash of decluttered makeup because I just couldn't do it. The Paris from BH Cosmetics. I believe it was called Passion in Paris. And this is a really pretty purple palette for me. I just completely need to disregard the berries at the bottom because those are not my vibe. But this is pretty. And then the Blueberry Muffin. Again, this was so many people's favorite palette, and I wanted to love it so badly. And I just didn't love it as much as everybody else. And I figured out what was wrong with it for me. But there are some shades in here that I do really enjoy. So I do enjoy BH Cosmetics as a brand. I wish they were as popular as they were a couple of years ago and were doing these good things. We have Be Perfect Gravity. I did really enjoy this. I said in my review that you can tell that this is more affordable makeup. I put it up against things like the Makeup by Mario and Natasha Denona I Need a Nude because I felt it's like that but smokier. And this is really pretty. So this is the first time I ever tried Be Perfect, and I definitely do not regret my decision. I have slowly but surely been culling some of my Huda Beauty palettes. These are the Obsession ones. The larger ones are sitting in the drawer, but one of them was part of my Shop My Stash, so you'll see that in a second. Part of me needs to get rid of these because I don't use them enough. But part of me also can't because I just like them. I've got these green things. Oh, there's a hair. This is the Emerald Obsessions, and then we have the Khaki Obsessions. I just really enjoy these. I really, really enjoy these palettes. I like the formula. I like the color schemes. They did some really nice light things as well, like this Lilac Obsessions thing I like. And I like combining it with the Purple Haze. Because these two people weren't purple enough, but I feel that if you have a couple of these like I do, they mix and match so perfectly that you can just get endless combinations. Chocolate Browns is really pretty, a bit dark for me and a bit warm toned, but it goes so well with the Nude Rich, which I enjoy, and then the Nude or the Sand Haze goes really well with the Nude Light Obsession as well. A lot of these have been discontinued, so I don't think you can still buy them, but they do come out with these 9 pans regularly. There's now like a creamy version. Those seem interesting to me as well. And here we have the Wild Jaguar. If I were to declutter one, I think it would be this one, because something like the Be Perfect I just showed you is essentially this. So should I get rid of this? But I really enjoyed this and this shade. Like those two shades. And also this like shimmer. Yeah, so I'm going to keep these around for another round. I have been filming quite a bit of content with these as well lately, so I do enjoy these Huda Beauty palettes. And I have been telling you for years now how I feel that Kiko eyeshadow palettes aren't the best. You just saw me keep one. And I think that these, what are these called again? The Glamour Multi-Finish palettes are nice. Mine just came a little bit broken because I have one shattered shade right there. And then I have the Stellar Love Collection eyeshadow palette. And this one is also a bit messy because the actual pan comes out like this, like completely lifts up. The glue is completely like dried up and done. But these are really pretty. So I do want to keep this for sure. And I also want to keep these two because they just have some really nice shades in. And finally, I found some Kiko palettes I like. And I do a lot of content with Kiko, so I want to keep some options around. And then we have small things, baby things. Natasha Denona, Catrice, Essence, and also some MUA. I like a lot of these. The only thing is that Catrice now does this, the Wow in a Box over the 5 in a Box. I still have all of the 5 in a Box in a box because I was keeping these because I knew like Catrice was doing them regularly. My favorite one has to be the Diamond Lavender Look one. This came out last year. It was only around for a hot minute, but I put it in giveaways. I bought it for a friend. Like, this is really nice. So that one I would like to keep for sure. The Wow in a Box is not my color story. It just isn't. So this can go into the box with the other ones because they don't take up a lot of space and I do like having the entire collection. The Modern Smoky Look I would like to keep. I have one of those in backup because I knew they would declutter it before I ever hit pan. And this is the Soft Rose Look, and I took this with me on a recent trip because these are great for travel, but this is also going to go into the box. So 2 of them I'm going to declutter and 2 of them I'm going to keep. And the Natasha Denona ones are not going anywhere. These I'm going to keep. So we have the Love Mini, the Retro Glam Mini, and we have the Mini Zendo, which is very similar to the Wow in a Box one from Catrice I just got rid of. And these 3 I need to keep because these are some of my discoveries of 2023. The Essence Cool Nude Edition. This is so pretty. I put it in a giveaway because of that reason. Really enjoy it. So that's a definite keep. And these are really good too. I just need to use a glitter primer with some of the shimmers in order to make it work. But I like these enough that I want to keep them. So Enchantment is a bit lighter, a bit more ethereal, whimsical. And then we have Andromeda Skies, which is a bit more smoky. But this doesn't pull as dark as it might look in the pan. Really pretty, very affordable, very cheap feeling packaging, but the quality of the product is absolutely amazing. I picked these up in the UK on a complete whim just to try them, and I fell in love. Let's do this because I tried a lot of K-Beauty eyeshadow palettes in 2023. These were the ones I tried first, and I ended up liking them a lot that this kind of happened. So some of these are new to me that I haven't tried. The other ones I've already put into a review in 2023, so you can see all the swatches and all that if you want to. One of my favorite formulas from K-Beauty brands I now know is Clio. So here we have Picnic by the Sunset. Not sure if all of these are still available. This is so pretty. You do get some chunky glitters in here, but this is really pretty, really nice, really high quality mattes. And we also have, this is Walking on the Cozy Alley. And this ended up being my favorite because I thought I wasn't going to like it because it only has the one shimmer. But these mattes are stunning. So those are going to stay. And that's why I got another Clio palette to try in 2023. This is the Over the Path. And this is really, really pretty. A little bit more saturation, a little bit more of a gradient going on, some more shimmers, really excellent quality palette. Another favorite formula that I discovered is Romand. These, I like both of these. The one I like the best is the one at the top. This is the Dreamy Lilac Garden, but I also really love the Peony Nude Garden. It's just, what do you want to go for? Dreamy Lilac Garden, I feel, has a little bit more contrast, a little bit more going for it, so that's why I like that one better than I do this one. But this is super light, really pretty, and because I like it, I got 2 more. In fact, there is another one of these that has been released, I think, in the past few months, that is now on my wish list on YESSTYLE, because they do like a purpley mauve thing, like the Over the Path from Clio that I just showed you. But this is the warm toned one I went for, because I wanted to try some warm tones. This is Mahogany Garden. Can't wait to try it. Some really pretty shimmers in there. And then I have Dusty Fog Garden. This is all matte, but it's cool toned, and so many of you were telling me I needed to try it. So that's why we're doing that this month, actually. As you're watching this declutter, I'm not sure when this is going to go live because I'm pre-filming, but the aim is to use March to try out the new K-Beauty palettes that I tried that I bought in the Black Friday sales. Something I'm going to get rid of then is the Wake Make, this is the Forest Brown Mix Blurring Eye Palette. This is pretty. It really is pretty, but I feel this is a little too one note and it doesn't do enough. I do really enjoy that shimmer. I might pull that shimmer out and press it into another pan. I might. It's got stars in. I'm not sure. Can you see that? Can you see the stars? It's really pretty, but the rest of the shades are nothing special, and I didn't love the formula as much as I did the Romand. Unleasha Glitterpedia number, don't know, what's the name of this again? All of Lavender Fog. And this, I can't wait to try it. This is new. I haven't played with this yet. These three, I need to take a decision. You can tell that, ooh, let me put this one away. You can tell that, like, this is the expensive version and these are more affordable. These are half the price of this one. So together, they're as much as this. This is 3CE, this is Plot Twist. And this looked to have, like, a greeny undertone on the website, and then it didn't when I got it home. And a lot of these shades are very samey. So that's why I wasn't wowed by the formula. Like, these retail for as much as the 9 pens from Huda Beauty, and I don't feel it has the same quality. I like, therefore, these two things just a lot better. But these are very one note as well. So the Holika Neat Knit, that's this one. It's light, it's pretty, but I just prefer the Romand one, and I have something similar to this coming up that I do want to keep. So this is Button Up. And I thought this was going to be very different, but it's only looking different because of the darker background. But essentially the shades are the same as in the Neat Knit. So these 4 palettes are all gonna go. The Bibia Tea House is very pretty, but like the Wake Make, a little too one note for my liking, which is why I'm going to be decluttering this. I have the Kaja Bento Box in Rosewater, and I do like this. It's just a bit cumbersome to use with the 3 shades, but it's very pretty. So I am going to keep it for another round, but I didn't love the way this is set up. What I'm going to keep is the Autumn Closet from Etude. This is really pretty, one of my favorite neutral palettes I own right now. So stunning. You get cool tones, you get neutrals, and you get these like greener tone things. Really pretty. And this one from Berry Para, I did really enjoy when I tried it. This is the Fallen Acorn palette, but it's such a weird size. And it's got a cream in with powders, which I don't love. And look at how chunky she is. Like, she's very thick. So I'm going to declutter this. Just because it's a pain to store. That's really the only reason. And then we just have some new things. So I have Pink Flash. This was dirt cheap. It was only €5. I was like, I might as well try it. These are not my shades, but I'm going to try it for a review. And then Cleo had a cheese palette. Napping cheese. It came with stickers with kitties with cheese. It's so cute. Look at how pretty this is. I really like it. Again, I'm going to take the little brush out because I don't need it, but I can't wait to play with this. As much as I like the Cleo formula, I can't wait to try that. And cheese is apparently a thing for K-Beauty brands because Lily by Red also has a cheese palette, and these palettes are made to look like a little keyboard. Look at how, like, it's got yellows, but then it has these really pretty cooler tone neutrally browns. Can't wait to play with that. And then we have the Ash Mauve Mood Keyboard from Lily by Red. This is a brand I wanted to try more from in 2024 because I tried some of their products in 2023 and liked them. So that's why I wanted to try some eyeshadow by them as well. I've got a whole host of other Zoeva palettes, and this is one that I almost decluttered last year. Someone was like, oh, I would like to have that, so I almost gave it away. And then I was going through my collection thinking like, oh, but it's got so many good shades. Like these 2 plummy things are so nice. It's a bit warm toned. It's a little too 2018 kind of stuff for me, but it has some really stunning shades, and I love the Zoeva formula, so I can't get rid of this. And these are the new ones from Zoeva. They have done away with all of their larger palettes that they used to do, and they now do these quads. And these quads, let me tell you, luxury formula, think Charlotte Tilbury, Dior, that sort of thing, YSL, that kind of formula, at half the price, because these are under 30 euros. They're 27.50, which seems a lot for a 4-pan. But if you think about the fact that the Charlotte Tilbury little eye palettes have 4 shades and retail for 60 euros, this is an absolute steal, because you're getting a really good formula, and the comparison with Charlotte Tilbury doesn't end there, because look at how these are laid out. This is my favorite. This is Emerald Green Eyes. This is the more special one of the 3 I have. Then I have Glorious Golden Eyes. I don't love golds, but there was just something about how this shade selection was come out that I was like, that might be pretty. It doesn't have that sparkly shade that Charlotte is known for doing. And then this is the Beautiful Bright Eyes. And I just feel these mix and match really well. Like, this is essentially like the Pillow Talk kind of vibe. I just feel it is. Not all of these have mattes. A lot of them are satin heavy. The shade selection is a little bit disappointing, but formula-wise, there is something in this formula that makes it feel like a cream, yet they are so rich and blendable and easy to pick up with a brush. If you haven't tried these, make sure you do, because these are really nice. In here, we have some, like indie brands, you could say. Yeah, they're all indie. I have some then still called Alien Cosmetics, now they're called Unearthly, of course. The Frary Frolic, this now comes with square pans and very different packaging, but I love mine. It's a great color story. And I think, is that the only one from Alien that I have in here still? Oh, no, I have another one coming, but it's not in this cubby. I have Makeup by Lisa, Raven's Castle. This was one of my favorite palettes of 2022, really nice, cool toned. This is an indie brand from the Isle of Wight in the UK. And then I have 4 palettes from Fantasy Cosmetica. I love this brand. This is one of my favorites. They now do this stained glass kind of look, and I like it much better than the older packaging, but hey. I have the Druid. The only one I don't have is the Bard and the Sorcerer. I'm going to be buying the Wizard palette too, because it looks stunning. The Warlock looks completely random, but I had so much fun playing with this. Really, really pretty. The Fighter is a great grungy neutral tone color story. This mustard makes the palette. And then one of my favorite palettes of 2023 is the Rogue. I really enjoy this. And in here, I think I can get rid of some. I have the Bubble Time from Unique Beauty, and I haven't really heard anybody talking about this brand. Nikki Raven was someone who talked about this brand a lot. I think she was on their PR list. I'm not entirely sure. And I've kept it because this has some really pretty shimmers. The matte of these palettes weren't great, but I feel like I have these shimmers a million times over. So this is going to go away. That's a declutter. And then I just have a couple of my Nabla palettes. I still have the entire Cutie collection complete sitting in a box because I was like, maybe they'll come out with other ones. They haven't. I want to keep the analog. I don't love warm tones. We all know that. If I go warm toned, I go this. This is really pretty. But I have so many cool tone palettes that this one is no longer a standout in my collection. So this is going to go into the box. So this is going to go away. And then I have my Cutie palette in Midnight, which I also like. It has this very weird thing, and I have other blue palettes I just like better that do the same thing for me. So these 2 are now going to be decluttered. More small things. I think all of this, yes, all of this is Viseart. Am I getting rid of any of my Viseart palettes? I have decluttered some in the past. I did. I'm not. I'm not getting rid of any of my Viseart this year, but I'm now spotting something. This is by Sigil Inspired by Temi Tanuka, which is a Russian-based indie brand. And I wanted to try them, and then I got this in, and it's been messy from the start, and I feel the color story is very similar to the one from Makeup by Lisa, which is why I now feel I can get rid of this. All of these. All of these are just going to stay because Viseart is one of my favorite formulas. I tried, like as I'm filming this, it's still in my Shop My Stash, but I have already played with the new Viseart palettes that came out at the end of 2023. I love this brand. I just do. We have Midsummer. Not one I reach for all the time, but I like some of the shades in here. I have the Paris Étoile. Really nice, dark and smoky. We have Petite Pro 3 with the greens. And this has one of the best forest green mattes I have in my collection. And then I have the San Francisco Étoile, which is warm tone neutrals with this really nice bright orange and a teal with a taupe. I don't really use the orange shade, but the rest of it works really well. And then I have the London Étoile, which is again quite warm toned for my liking, but again, a lot of shades that I do like. And then I have my Petit Four, so I have the Lilas, which is lovely taupes. The Lila Deux, which is more mauve toned leaning. I don't like the one warm tone we have in here. Just saying, but these are magnetic, so you can rearrange them. I have the Violetta, and I have the Lavande, which is a bit more brighter purples. And then I have the Petit Cool Mattes. I don't love this. I wanted to like it, but I do feel there are some good individual shades. So if I start to ever rearranging these, then I think this palette can come in handy. So I'm not going to declutter it for that reason. It's a good companion palette, but not a standalone for me. My favorite neutral palette of all time, perhaps, the Cashmere and the Violette Étendue, which is my favorite purple palette of all time. Which is why, let me just get into some of the things that are in my Shop My Stash, because I was using these in February. The Cashmere Charmeuse, which is really pretty, but I felt these were darker than they looked in the pan, I feel. And these got shadow on them in transport, even though nothing cracked, and it doesn't seem to go away. And then we have the Vespertine. This was my favorite of the two, if I have to be very honest. But yeah, these are lovely palettes. I really enjoy them. And I was saying how there was going to be more unearthly. This is again from back when they were Alien Cosmetics. This is the Serendipity palette, which is now called the Poison Apple. Not sure if they still do it, but it's such a lovely, of course it's metallic, so it's difficult to show you, but it's a really lovely grungy color story that's a bit more colorful. But I think when I reorganize everything, I think I want to put my Alien Cosmetics stuff together. Or should I say unearthly? Like, I always mess up because I have palettes that still have the old name on, so I always mess up. Then I have the remainder of my Glam Shop 9-pan palette. So I have the blue one, which is sadly discontinued, but it's so, so pretty. This one looks a little crumbly. What's going on here? But yeah, this is a really pretty palette. I love it. Then, of course, the infamous Coco Sanka. So pretty. The first green palette I got by them, which has some brighter options, but also this like really nice olivey tone. And then I have the Very Perry, which I bought the purple palette for. But then I bought the ColourPop one, and I like that one better, the Lavish, in terms of like a periwinkle palette than I do this. Because this is too many undertones, but this together with the purple palette is really pretty. So guess what? I'm not getting rid of any of my Glam Shop palettes. And then we have some indie brands here as well. I have the Victory palette from Game Beauty. I have the other ones in my makeup memory box because I really enjoy the packaging of these. This is my warm tone neutral palette with a pop of teal. And then I have two palettes that were sent to me in PR by What's Up Beauty. This is the Geodes palette, which I'm going to show you like this because it's a bit better. Really pretty neutral palette with some really nice shimmers. And then their Dragon Eye palette, which has a lot of duochromes and multi-chromes. Really pretty, but not as intense as some of the Cliona stuff. So if that's what you're looking for, maybe not the best one. This brand is, both brands actually, are available through Monolith. In here, we have like small palettes and like luxury quads, that sort of thing. So I have some things that are also in my Shop My Stash that could have gone into this pack, little cubby. Victoria Beckham Smoky Eye Brick in the shade Royal is in here normally. This is really pretty. I bought it in the Black Friday sales and it's part of my February review. And then I had this one first. This is Tuxedo. This was sent to me by the brand. And this is a really nice smoky, like taupey gray thing. These do have only matte shades in though. You need some other things to make shimmers. And then my two Lisa Eldridge palettes were in my Shop My Stash in February to go back to them. This is Vega, which is the cool tone one. And then I also got Sorcery when it came back in stock, which is all shimmer, but I felt that Vega and Sorcery would be really good companion palettes, which is why I wanted to sort of put that theory to the test. The Rêve à Paris, the Moonshot. This is a K-beauty brand, and I kept it around last year because like it's perfect for travel, but I haven't reached for it for travel, so this can go. And I think I can also say goodbye to the Peach Sea Falling in Pink eyeshadow palette. These are the two things I bought that made me realize that K-beauty can do some really nice things. I just feel that the other color stories I've kept are better for me than this, so that's why I'm getting rid of this one. Ooh, I'm also going to get rid of this H&M thing. This is just super old. I kept it last year over some of my Charlotte Tilbury quads because I feel it's the same formula, but I now have those Zoeva things, so I don't need to keep this anymore. Dior, this is super old. I don't reach for this. I have shades like this a million times over, but because I like it and because it has fun packaging, this is going to go into a makeup memory box. From Dior, I will be keeping their Backstage palette in the shade Silver Linings. I love this. I tried it in 2023. Didn't think it was going to work for me. Then I saw it in store, swatched it, and really loved it. So it was one of my favorites of 2023. I have my Dior palettes that are from other limited edition collections. This is House of Dreams, which is 2022 Christmas collection. And I have Black Knight, which is from the 2021 Christmas collection. I just feel that Dior doesn't really do unique things in their daily, like everyday collection, but their Christmas collections can have nice things in. Fenty Beauty, the Snap Shadows. I'm like the only person on the planet who likes these. I need to go back to these though. And these I do have clocked now that I've like thought of my collection again. Like, oh yeah, the Fenty Snap Shadows. Need to use them again. I do like them as one palette together rather than individual palettes. I have one from M Cosmetics. I really, really want to try their Cool Tone one. They came out with it at the end of 2023. This is the one in Rhoda, and I do like it. It's a good neutral palette. And I also really love the formula of the Glossier Monochromes. This is Mist, and I also have Jute, which I also want to keep. So only getting rid of a couple of things here just to curate it down a little bit. So then some other things that were in my Shop My Stash and that were just sitting by itself in the drawer that weren't in a cubby or anything. I like to go back to the white chocolate bar from Too Faced every winter, so that's what I wanted to do. I didn't get around to using this in January, so I wanted to make a point of using it in February instead. And a similar thing, my Huda Beauty Rose Quartz. This is one of my all-time favorite, like, neutral palettes for people with fair skin. I really enjoy it. I think it's now been discontinued, but I went back to mine because I love it. And then I do like to prove myself wrong sometimes. I'm not sure whether I did, because by the time I'm filming this video, I haven't gone back to these. But the Odin's Eye Christmas palettes that were re-released at the end of 2023 weren't my favorites. I have this theory that Odin's Eye has a batch problem where some palettes are really good, and that's the batch they send to influencers, and that's why there are so many rave reviews. But when I've bought them recently, I have just felt that the shimmers were very lackluster, and I started to develop that theory with these palettes. But that doesn't mean I can't go back to them and see if I can make them work. So the Christmas Eve has a stunning color story, because Odin's Eye can do a good color story, not gonna lie. And this is the Merry Christmas palette. I just want to love these, which is why I wanted to go back to them. This was just sitting in my drawer, and this is another palette from Essence that they did a really good job on. This could trump the Game Beauty palette for me, because this has fewer warmer tone neutrals. It has a lot of cool toneness in here as well, plus the greens. But essentially, it's a neutral tone palette with greens and teals. Really stunning. If you haven't tried Essence eyeshadow anytime, then maybe try this one, because this was really, really good. What wasn't that great was the Catrice Meta Face palette. This I bought for a review because I bought another one of their fall palettes and really enjoyed it, but this wasn't great. So declutter. And I'm gonna have to say, be very sad to say, that these are all declutters. They are this one from Rival. This is from the German drugstore. This is dirt cheap. It's like €3 at the drugstore for 18 shades. So what can you expect? I've tried 2 of their other ones, and these are decent. Like, if you're in a pinch and you just want, or you want to play around with color and you're a bit insecure, then these are nice, but they don't really have the color payoff I'm looking for. So that's why this has to go. And these were sent to me in PR by the brand Alter Ego. I got to try their Midsummer, their Coastal, and their Goddess palettes. And I just don't like this formula. I have all of the original palettes for these. I was able to swatch them side by side. And I know so many people say like how these are so similar to the originals. And I feel, yes, shade-wise, these look similar to the originals, but formula-wise, they are nothing like it, which at this price point, would we really expect them to? They are pretty though, because I also have the original color stories for a reason. The Midsummer is the Nouveau from ABH. The Coastal, you just saw the original of, because this is the Rose Quartz from Huda Beauty. And the Goddess from Alter Ego is a alternative to the gold palette from Natasha Denona. These are really pretty. If you're in a pinch, if you don't want to shell out that kind of money, then definitely go for these, but don't expect them to be the same quality. And what I have also found, the gold palette from Natasha Denona is of course no longer around, but they still stock the Goddess. So if there's a color story you missed out on, rather than hunting down the original palette on eBay, and you just want the color story, then this can be a way to getting your hands on older color stories as well. But if you were to buy these and expecting them to be the same as the original palettes, I think you would be very disappointed. These I'm not going to get rid of because they are for my Shop My Stash, but this is the Aim Higher from LH Cosmetics. I'm just going to show you these real quickly. These were in my February review. The Cloud 9 from ColourPop. Very light, very cool toned, very pretty, and it worked really well. Then one of my favorite brands, Gloss Gods, the Gal on Jupiter. So pretty. I loved every look I did with it. Similarly for the Huda Beauty, this is the Pretty Grunge. A lot of people are saying that they feel this is more warm tone than they had expected. Not for me. I was able to get some really nice, like, cooler tone looks out of this, but you do need to be very careful how you place, like, which shades you put together to get the cool toned look. I feel like this is going to give you cool tones, this row is going to give you cool tones, but this entire corner is going to give you warmth. Natasha Denona, the Xenon. As I'm filming this, I'm testing this one out. I still have one look to go. I'm loving it. The undertones show up on my fair skin for sure. Then these are the ones I still need to review as I'm still doing the looks for these. The Color of Rain from Gloss Gods. This is one of their effects palettes, as the Gal on the Moon. Really pretty. Gloss Gods is one of those brands that caters to like makeup artists, but they are very easy to use even if you're just like me and you're not like that adventurous with your makeup, but you want to try other things. I feel they are the brand, and they're based in Sweden, so they're great for people in the EU. And then I just have the Nomad Cosmetics Ghost Town palette. And this is really pretty as well. I am so much enjoying this one. And we have this cubby. Ooh, this guy's heavy. Here we go. We have a lot of drugstore things in here. So let me move it out of the way just a little bit. We have the new Catrice Pro Slim palettes. They're now called just the Slim palettes. We have Blooming Bliss, Safari Fever, and Coral Crush. And I hope by the time you're watching this video, I will have done a video comparing these to the older color stories of the Pro Slim, because I still have all of these. So that's what I'm definitely going to be doing, and I actually think I can show you at least one of them, because these are the old versions, so the hint of mint. Nah, this is warmer toned, I think. Like, but you can see what they've been doing. My favorite of all of the line has been the Vintage Soul. This is a truly unique color story that they've done. You get some rosy tones, but then you get these maroony burgundies, and these have a green undertone. It's a really special palette, so I'm not going to get rid of any of these, but because I still need to film that video, but this is going to go into for my review pile. This is going to go into the box, and this is going to stay, the Vintage Soul. I have another Kiko palette. This is one I'm getting rid of because this I didn't like. This is the Soft Nude palette in shade 1. This was, remember the L'Oreal palette nude palettes? It's that. And it's exactly that quality, which wasn't great. One of my favorite palettes of 2022, well, start of 2023 really, Celestial Winter by e.l.f. Love this thing to pieces. It came back at the end of 2023. I hope this is still available if you're seeing this video only now. Because I'm keeping so many other Kiko things, I know I can get rid of this. This is from the holiday collection of 2022. the Joyful Holiday, and this can go because I like the other color stories better. Here we have a lot of the ColourPop as well, so I'll get to this when I get to the other ColourPop things. Of course not. This is not going anywhere. This is one of my favorite all-time palettes. It's by Catrice. It's Huda Beauty quality at a fraction of the price. This was only 15 euros. It came back at the end of 2023, which made me so happy. But yeah, this one is not going anywhere. Also, my Bubblegum and Pistachio from BH, I'm not going to get rid of. The blue one and the green one. I mean, I have these, so I don't need any other blue and green palette. Elf, Earth and Ocean. This is still really, really good. I still like the look of this, so I'm keeping that. And then before we get to a whole host of ColourPop, we have Makeup Revolution, the Zodiac Air. This was terrible quality, so this is going to go away. And in the back, I have a Beauty Bay palette in Book of Magic, and I've said all the time how I'm keeping this as a placeholder in my collection to have a Beauty Bay palette around. I would now like to keep the Metamorphic around for that reason, but here's the thing. Somebody has asked me if I can do an eyeshadow palette video with nothing but blue, green, purple palettes. So I'm gonna have to keep this, but after I film that video, which is not gonna be until later in the year, I'm gonna have to declutter this one, but I wanna keep it around for video purposes. We have Love in London. My First Love by BH. This is still so good. Why did they never bring this back? I still hold this very near and dear to my heart, so keeping it for sure. And like I said, those were things we had to get through before we could get to ColourPop. You just saw me talking about some other ColourPop things. So yeah, I've got quite a lot of ColourPop. And a lot of these color stories have been rearranged. This one has been rearranged. And now that I've rearranged it, I really like the color story. So I put in these two, I believe. Like I change around 2 of the shades. This I don't need to keep. I really don't. That's Taupe is one of the very few I've never played with, but as I mentioned, I want to see if I can mix this together with the Deja Brew, and because this I feel has, like, these 3 shades are essentially all the same, and maybe like put some more shimmers in here. Maybe take 1 or 2 of these shimmers out because I don't love this rosy tone. So I'm gonna reorganize this together with the Deja Brew. Blush Crush is the shades I kept from Stone Cold Fox. Not sure I need to keep this. That's a maybe. Don't have anything on the baby pile yet. Ooh. Here we have Juvia's Play shades that I've repressed into this. It's very stained and gross looking, but I need to put this with my Juvia's Place palettes in a minute. These are the yellows from the Aha Honey, which I'd like to keep. I don't have many black and gray palettes, so I would like to keep this. This is the Smoky Smoke Show, now called Blowing Smoke. So I would like to keep that. The Flutter By. I've put all of my purples in here. It does have really good purples in here. Now that I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, it has really good purples. So may need to keep that. Making Mauves is all of the mauve tones together with the Ménage à Moi. I did use this again in the fall season and it was really pretty. Baroque is unique enough that I've never reorganized it, so that's a definite keep. This is a maybe. Mint to Be, I ended up putting some shades from the Going Coconuts into this, but this is, I just forget I have this. This can go. Cherry Crush is reds and pinks, and I've been reorganizing this thing for years with some of these shades that are in here. I think it may be time to go. I don't have these shades anywhere else in my collection though. That's what's keeping me from decluttering this, because I have this really nice bright pink and like a true red and some really nice purples and peaches in here. Again, maybe pile. The Mandalorian The Child. I made this more green toned. I think I'm going to keep this. But same thing like the other one I just showed you. This is Off Quartz with Sprinkle a Little Magic. I think that I'm going to keep this instead of the Mint to Be then. I think that might be the one. Because I like these cooler toned shades with the greens. I do like that. The Dream Street are all of the teals from the High Tide with some shades from the Dream Street. I like this. A full teal color story. I do really like the color, the Troublemaker. This is also not reorganized. And then I have the Menage a Moi. Let me see. How do we feel about this? Like, the one I reach for the most is this one. The one in the Making Mauves. But this has so many, like, really good shades as well. Like, what I did is I had a bunch of these pinky mauve tones, like the Menage a Moi, Making Mauves, Flutter By, Blush Crush, and I made it into 2 palettes, really. So that's why I struggle getting rid of these. I might as well just keep the Blush Crush. But, like, shades like this I just have a million times over. And if I'm going to rearrange the Deja Brew with the Death's Taupe, it's going to end up looking like this. But yeah, I'm going to keep it for now. And I'll keep the Cherry Crush. We've got rid of 2 ColourPop palettes. We've got rid of 2. And, of course, the Melrose one. And then I have one more cubby here, which is also really heavy, which is Kaleidos and Juvia's Blaze. And I already know that these guys are going to go. I may keep the mauves because it has that really pretty duochrome. Like, this one is really, really pretty. I love this one. This is my favorite one of the 4. So this I might want to keep. But the violets can go because I have this. And these shades, like, let me put my theory to the test. Yes, it's messy, but these shades I think are essentially what's in here. So I don't need to keep this. These are shades from the Magic, the Masquerade, and the Royal Nubian, if I'm not mistaken. And I've just kept my favorite shades. The taupes, again, I like this. This is very light, really neutral, really pretty, but I have so many taupe palettes, I don't need this. And the berries has just always been a bit too intense for me. I don't even know how I got this one. I don't remember buying it anyway, so I'm going to get rid of these 3. I'm going to keep all the other Juvia's Place palettes I have, because I have the Saharan, which is a really good warm tone palette. If you ask me for a recommendation for a warm tone neutral palettes, it's this one and the Analog that I would go for. So, I love the Nomad. Such a pretty grungy toned color story. Love it. The Deuce is one of the best, like, softer, neutral with pops of color palette I've ever owned. Who remembers this hype for the Tribe? I love this color story till this day. It's, again, warmer toned with, like, greeny teal shades. This. So pretty. The Saharan too. It doesn't get any better than this. Warm tones with a pop of blue, anyone? And then these are all duochromes. Love it. And the Festival is a bit out there. It's a bit brighter, but it's fun and colorful. And I don't want to get rid of all of my colorful palettes just because it's not something I wear every day. I just want to keep the ones I still have and like. You know, makes sense to me. Then I have all of the Kaleidos, 6 of the 4 pans, like 6 of them. So these are the ones we got first. The Smoky Nostalgia, the Black Jasmine, and we have Cold Brew. These are some of my favorite neutral tone palettes. And I love how these, like, if you have all 6 of them, they combine really well. This is, the name is on the back of these ones. This is Glowing Iris. And then we have Flowing Haze, which is the more neutrally one. And then we have Twilight Rush. So pretty. These are so grungy and pretty, but they have that K-beauty kind of formula. And this is Venus Trap. Really pretty. And then I have more Kaleidos. I have all of the Futurism ones that I still have. One of them, this one, is not the Sci-Fi Green. This actually has shades in from Beauty Bay, from the Wilderness palette that I repressed. I still want to keep that. It's really nice grungy shades. This is the Lunar Lavender, which I still really enjoy too. The Futurism 5 or 6. 7 even. Sashimi City, really nice, like peachy tones. Don't have those too many in my collection. Electro Turquoise is really, really pretty, so I'm not going to get rid of that. Astro Pink. I did reorganize some of these over time just to have them be a bit more perfect, but this is really pretty too. And then I have the Cyber Bronze, which I put the pink in from the VR Neons because that was my least favorite one. And then I just have one more Kaleidos palette, the Club Nebula with Angelica Newfist. That's this palette right here. This is not going anywhere either. Welcome to the contents of drawer number 2 of my eyeshadow palette collection, and I'm not sure how much I'm going to get rid of this because this is the section where I haven't bought that many new things. So if I'm going to get rid of things, I think it's because I'm going to put them in a makeup memory box, to be quite fair. Something like this. Let's start here then. The Classic Horror from LA Splash. I just really like the packaging, but I have too many rainbow palettes as it is. But I can't get rid of this because this packaging is iconic. Look at that holographic background as well. And it's front and back with these zombie ladies. So this I'm going to declutter, but it's going to be a makeup memory box item for sure. This from Patrick Ta, because it's so shiny. This is the Major Dimension 2. I decluttered it last year. Then I pulled it because I was like, oh, I've only used it once or twice. It's too warm toned. I don't love the formula, but I think it's good to keep this around for comparison reasons. So this is going to be decluttered, but it's going to go into the section of my makeup collection where I keep things around for videos. The Gingerbread from Too Faced. In case you didn't know, you weren't around yet, I reorganized a lot of my older Too Faced and Anastasia palettes to make them work for me. So these are all the shades from Sweet Peach, the original chocolate bar, and the gingerbread, and I just kept the ones I like best. I now have my favorite neutral tones all in one palette, so this is not going anywhere. I hope this is okay. Oh, whew, it looks okay. This I dropped. This is the Anastasia Nouveau when I was doing the swatches to compare this to the Alter Ego palette, and like my 3 favorite shimmers got cracked, but it's still okay. I repressed them back into place. It's just gone a little bit crumbly ever since, but this is a really pretty palette. I'm going to keep that. Subculture hasn't been rearranged because I love this color story. I love this with multi-chromes. Soft Glam is another keep. It's a warm tone neutral palette that I do enjoy. If you can still get this and you like your rosy warm tones, this is my pick. Now this is going to look messy because this is one of the reorganized ones. This is the warm toned one. So this is the Modern Renaissance, Jackie Aina, Prism, whichever other ones I had. Like I think I condensed 6 Anastasia palettes down to 2, so I made a warm toned one and I made a cool tone one last year. So loving that, went back to them, they work perfectly fine. And in the Jackie Aina one, I have the cooler toned ones. I did find out from doing this that Anastasia pans aren't perfectly square. So they only fit into these like spaces in one way. That's why this one seems to be like cracked and like not in there in a good way. And I did drop this purple when I was doing the changing around. So this is also very fragile. So this is not something I would travel with anymore. But I have kept all of my favorite shades from my ABH palette. So this way I have my perfect color stories. And I have the Carly Bible, which I've kept intact because I like this one. You have your like peachy coral shades, and then you also have these cooler tones. It's just a really nice mix, and even though I don't like the packaging, I like the shades inside it. Okay, so I just spilled purple eyeshadow all over my Sigma New Mod, and I can't get it off, of course. So yeah, this now has a nice purple thing on it from the ABH. Oh well. This is nice. It's a bit dark for me, but again, in terms of like something I would want to keep, I do want to keep it even though it is a little bit deep for me. Sigma Enchanted, again, not my favorite, but I feel like if I just stick to these like shades on this side, I'm quite happy with this in the fall time especially. And I'm not sure what to do with these. I know these are magnetic, so I could pull them apart. They're by Sydney Grace, and they are the Temptalia collab. Oh, On the Horizon even. Oh well, I thought I had the right one here. This is Radiant Reflection, and this is Quintessence. I think I'm gonna keep them as is, because I do enjoy that. Like, I don't really love these color stories, that's why, but I love the shades inside it. So I could rearrange them, or just keep them as is, and I do like the packaging of these, so I wouldn't want to get rid of that. I have the Ninhydrin from Adept, and this is my favorite one from Adept, so this is a definite keep. The Minka. Even though I don't love this formula, I do want to keep it because it has a couple of really pretty one-offs that I would like to keep it around for. But I am decluttering the Plain Jane Remastered. This is, I'm not inspired when I look at this. I'm just not inspired when I look at this palette. It just looks very, like, I don't know. I don't know what to do with this when I go into it. If I go for a multi-chrome, I go for my Cleona, not this. I have my Glaminatrix Nocturnal palette, and this is going to stay as is. I do like this. I would like to go back to it. But as a standalone palette, again, I don't feel it's perfect. What I've done with my Too Faced and my ABH palette, I did do to my Naked 2 and 3. I pulled them apart and made my perfect cool toned neutral color story. So these are super old palettes, shades I should say, but I do have the 2 palettes in backup, untouched in a box somewhere. But I will be relegating my Naked Honey from Urban Decay to my Urban Decay. I still have all my Urban Decay palettes that I've ever decluttered, because this is the makeup collector in me, you could say, but I don't have them in my active makeup collection anymore, so that's where this is going to go. And here I'm a little bit ashamed to say that I've never tried the Lorac Pro 4 as much as I should have. The Lorac Pro 3 was my favorite for years, but it has been dethroned by things I've just tried more recently, but this was such a good palette for me. I almost bought a backup of this back when Lorac became available where I live. But this is going to go into a makeup memory box just to have it forever, but I'm not going to use this ever again. But the Lorac Pro 4, part of me wants to get rid of this. But there's also a part of me that's like, you haven't used this that much. And this is your color story. Like, you do get some warmth, like here and here and here, but it's also got neutrals, and then it's got the mauvey rose tones and some plums. I'm intrigued by this color story as much as I'm going like, really? So this may just be one that I need to keep, and I need to put it in a palettes I want to go back to, because I haven't used this since the original like review I did of this, but I do like this when I look at it. And remember what I said, that I would have a lot more Zoeva palettes for you? Of course. I do have still most of the original palettes I ever had. The only ones I decluttered from this were the ones where I felt the color story wasn't really my vibe, or where I felt the quality was lacking. They are doing this style of palette new in 2 different shades. I'm not sure if they still do them, but this is the Together We Grow. And I don't know why, but to me this looks like something Rare Beauty might do. We get, let me hold it right and down right. This is neutral. We have warm tones, and then we have these greener tone things as well. It is really, really pretty. I've compared this to the Nabla side by side and really enjoy this better than the Nabla. So that's no longer in my collection, but this is. And then I can't get rid of these. I have been going back to these. I just love these color stories to pieces. Let me just breeze through them because I'm going to keep them all. Caramel Melange, really pretty warm tones. Blanc Fusion, it's yellows with cool tone neutrals. Nobody else has done it, save for that K-Beauty palette that I'm very curious after. Cocoa Blend, which had a moment in 2016, but I don't hear anybody talking about it anymore. Your sort of Great Gatsby 1920s vibe in the Heritage. Spice of Life, which is like nice and spicy, and it's got a really stunning taupe shimmer. I could never get rid of it for that one shade. This is the Eclectic Eyes, and especially these 4 shades at the end are what's making me keep this palette every single year. It's really pretty. On Taupe, it doesn't get any more taupe than this. And then the IC, which is really pretty duochromes and like jewel tone shades. The Melody is such a good light, fair skin friendly palette that I want to keep it. And then we have the Premier, which is warm-toned, rosy things at the bottom. And then you have some greens and golds and peaches at the top, which it works quite well. It does have that sort of old movie vibe indeed, so the packaging even goes. Lovely packaging, love the slim design. I go back to these from time to time because I love them. Now that we have some space in the middle, let me talk to you about some things that were in the back of the drawer. This is the Cashmere from Glam Shop. This is one of their bigger palettes that they did. Really pretty. I'm going to keep it. The Melt Waiting Room in its box because I don't like the outer packaging, but I said I didn't have any reds anywhere else. I lied because I have reds in here. But reds with grays, I really enjoy this color story. It's still very unique till this day. I have a Nabla palette here. This is the Soul Blooming. I've gotten rid of all of my larger Nabla palettes over time, but this gets to stay every year because it's so, so great for the springtime. I do have other color stories that are similar like this, but I like this one and it was discontinued years ago. This is one I've decided I'm going to declutter. It's by Violet Voss. It's the Sugar Crystals. This is one I hunted down because Violet Voss suddenly no longer became available in the EU. I had to buy this off of Amazon via a reseller. This shade came cracked and it hasn't been okay ever since. And I bought this to have colorful shimmers. Because a lot of rainbow palettes that I was trying at the time just didn't have enough shimmers for my liking. This has satin shimmers in the middle and these like iridescent shimmers in the bottom row, and then you just get this full-on matte rainbow at the top. I'm just over wearing a lot of colorful shades, and the palettes that I'm going to keep that have rainbow color stories are going to have some shimmers in, and I feel I have plenty of other shades that I can like layer over or with them, either in my singles collection or in like a fun like glittery liquid kind of thing. Like I have plenty of other eyeshadows, so this can go. This is not going anywhere. This is by Nomad. It's the Land of Fire and Ice, which I believe has been discontinued, but this is so pretty. And here is the next stack. I have my favorite Odin's Eye palette. This is the Solomona, the Sun and the Moon. I'm so sad that they discontinued this, but it's the original palette, and this is the Odin's Eye formula I remember liking. And like I said, I do enjoy Odin's Eye as a brand. I just feel they have batch problems. Jewels and Gem was the other palette that I decided to try to see whether my theory held, and I felt it did, but I do like the color story, so I am keeping it for that reason. The Norns, this is the old version. They have redone this. But I love the colors inside it. So this is another one of those older Odin's Eye palettes where I'm like, love it, keeping it. And I have my Hella palette, which they did in collaboration with Angelica Newquist. This is not, if I go for a more colorful palette, I go for something like this with like the greens and the pinks and like these grungy things. I have always said for a palette that's supposed to envision like life and death in one palette, we get a lot of life and we don't get a lot of death. I wanted more shades to go with this. These pinks are too bright. Serenity from Cosmic Brushes. This is what I mean with a colorful palette that I would like to keep. It's blue, greens, and purples, and it does have some shimmers in. But then we also have the Wonderland palette, the Winter Wonderland. This is one I tried in January, and I knew, the minute I spotted this being released, I was like, yes. There are some more shimmers in here than in the Serenity, which I like, and it also has some multi-chromes. And then I have my little Blend Bunny family. I have the Lure. Here again, a colorful palette that I feel can do with some more shimmers, but at least it has shimmers, which is why I want to keep this. This is again blue, greens, and purples, so this is a thing I need to keep around for filming that other video, but I really enjoy the Blend Bunny formula. They have a really good formula. I also have the Surge, which is going to be the thing I want to keep in terms of like something that's more rainbowy. It's got the neons, a really fun row of shimmers, the deep things that actually do work for me in this palette, and then this mid row and some pastels. So this just has everything, and it's a bit more grungy. The Dollhouse is not my perfect nude palette, which is what I had hoped, but for a brand that doesn't really do a lot of shimmers, this has more shimmers. I do think this deep row is too dark for my complexion. This is kind of as deep as I can go. More Huda Beauty then, the Desert Dusk. This is one of my favorite warmer tone palettes in my collection. You do get cool tones over here. I can do a full cool tone look with this, no problem. It's got some purples to contrast it, and then you get these really spicy warm things. I still love it for that reason. I do like warm tones from some of the palettes I have, but they tend to be older and discontinued. Mercury Retrograde, sadly also discontinued. Really pretty, very whimsical, ethereal palette that I just love. Here's the Love's Journey, which is from Sydney Grace. And this I think I want to keep intact. This I'm not going to rearrange. It's got the neutrals at the bottom, the like the cooler tones, the neutrals, and then the warm tones. The warm tones were a bit too warm for my liking, but I can make them work. So keeping that palette intact. The one that I'm thinking maybe I should pull some shades out is the Heaven on Earth. But again, I love the packaging. This packaging is so cute with the little turtle guy. I love the little turtle guy. And here we have blues, greens, and warm tone neutrals. Now that I'm looking at it again in the viewfinder, I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep it this way. But these blues were a bit too bright for me. These were too, like, there was too much of a contrast between the blues. But yeah, I do really like this. We have Eternal Eclipse from REM Beauty. This is very, very pretty. It's got warmer toned neutrals, especially in like this section over here. It's warm toned. You get these really stunning blues down the bottom, some gray, some taupes, some flesh tones. Really pretty. I like that one. Something I'm going to get rid of in this drawer is the Slush 2 from September Rose. This brand has gone defunct. This has always been my rainbow palette of choice for having true primary colors, but I don't reach for things like this. It's all matte. I don't need this. So that's a declutter. But I will be keeping the original Slush palette because this, let me tell you, she is so pretty. And for fair skin, like in terms of like having a rainbow palette, this works better for me than these primary colors. These are like these in-betweeny brighter colors. So I like bright colors, but I like them to work for me, and those work really well. Sometimes it's a bit harsh, I find, on my skin tone. Venus XL2 from Lime Crime. I have rearranged my Natasha Denona Retro Glam, as you'll see, because I already owned the color story, so I didn't mind it. This is the Natasha Denona Retro Glam with some warm tones. I've done comparisons. This was a palette nobody liked, but I've always liked mine, and I'm still liking it till this day. The reason why I have no issues decluttering my Anastasia Beverly Hills Renaissance, Modern Renaissance, is because I own this, the original Venus XL. It's berry toned heaven, and I reached for this again in the fall season, and I pulled some stunning looks out of it, and I'm loving this one. And then I just have some Nomad palettes here. So these are the larger sizes that they do, like the Ghost Town USA. This one I wanted to give away because one of my subscribers nominated me, so I'm still super happy and like amazed that someone did that. I was really happy with that. This is the Monteverdi Cloud Forest. This is another colorful palette with some shimmers in that I do like. Again, it has those brighter pops, and that just works better on my skin tone, I find. Haunted Europe. This, apparently, they still have some. At least when you're going to be watching this like a month later than me filming it. But I saw on Instagram that they said they still found a couple of these. But yeah, great fall toned, grungy color story. And then we have the Nomad Verona Amore e Morte, which again, it's like pinky tones with reds and those cool tones. I don't really wear a lot of pinks and reds. Here we have a really beautiful palette that I feel ashamed I've not gone back to recently. It's by Ace Beauty. It's their Oceanic palette. It's blues and greens. And this has always been one of my favorite blue-green palettes. So yeah, I'm going to keep this one. I always forget the name of this, the High Tides and Good Vibes palette. This is going to go into a makeup memory box because as pretty as she is, it's got pressed glitters and it's got warm tone neutrals. So this is not necessarily my vibe, but it's just too cute to get rid of. It's just too cute. And then we have my Natasha Denona family. Now when I start opening these up, none of these have the original color stories anymore because I've reorganized mine. Retro Glam, I already mentioned several times. I've reorganized mine. I put in cool tone neutrals with the greens. These are some shades from the Glam, the Retro Glam, and then some other random things. Liking the color story a lot better now. And then the other Glam palette, I've put in some of the berry shades I have. Some of these are also from the My Dream, and then some more neutrals. This is my other favorite of the two. The My Dream I made warm toned, so I put all the warm toned neutrals into this palette. Working a lot better for me now. And then the Retro, I've put in more of the mauve tones, you could say. So here we have some mauve tone things for sure. And then we have the gold. And I did replace this shade in the middle because that was a yellow tone gold and I didn't like it, but this way I like it. So there we have Natasha Denona. None of those are going to go. Now that I've rearranged these, I like them so much better. If we're talking families, let's do this family next. Melt. She's in Parties. This is so pretty. This is one of my favorite rosy mauve tone palettes that I have. Love it. Keep. I keep the blue print in the box because I like the box as much as I like the palette. I don't keep boxes often. Just Nomad, Pat McGrath, and then this one. None of these are going to go, by the way. let me make that clear straight off the bat. We have Smoke Sessions. I just love the melt formula. We have the Gemini 2, which is not something I purchased myself. The rosy tones are a bit too rosy for me, but they're pretty. The Gemini Original, still love mine. I love the grungy greens. Millennial Pinks is really, really stunning. These are the rosy tones I do like. And then we have the Muerte. I love this thing. Really, really pretty. I go back to these all the time. And then the Mary Jane, which has the flaky shimmers that I don't mind, but everybody else hates it. So I like my Mary Jane. I have some more indie brands in here as well. I have Unearthly. This is their Strawberry Milkshake palette. So again, remember what I said about having some more brighter things that have shimmers in now? This is a case in point. Again, I do have reds. It's a good thing I'm going through this like once a year or so. And this is the Lore, which I love. It's like, to me, this is like a similar vibe as the Festival palette from Juvia's Place, where you have those brighter things that make it look unwearable, but then when you put it on your eyes, it's like, oh, this actually works as a neutral. Like that bright orange, if you blend it with the yellow, so stunning. And then we have Misha Lu Cosmetics The Fawn. This is such a great neutral palette, but no longer available. And from the same brand, I have the Witchcraft, which is such a good, like, grungy color story. Can't get rid of that. My favorite from Gloss Gods, the Smoke and Mirrors. Loving that. Dancing in the Sky, they're getting rid of this one. So, grab it while you can. And then the new Neutrals, which is one of my all-time favorite neutral palettes by now. And then I have one more Unearthly, which is another great, like, grungy neutral palette, the Fall Magic Original. Here we have a cubby where I keep, like, smaller things. These are mainly 12 pans, you could say. So let me take you through that. Here we have some Shroud. I have the Moonfall. This is really, really pretty. Mine came shattered, so this shade at the top came shattered. So that's why there's green everywhere, because it got, like, stuck on the magnet. But I love this. I just feel their color stories don't really work as standalone color stories. It's Freaking Bats. And then we have Creepy Cute. Not going anywhere. And then I have the Arcana palette, which is nice grungy jewel tones. So those are going to stay. But the Sweet Indulgence from Sydney Grace, I think I can find people who like this better than I do. I don't need to keep this in my life. I like the teal in here a lot. But I liked it. It's really, really good quality. But I have other palettes from Sydney Grace I like better. Most of my singles are Sydney Grace. I don't need to keep it with my singles either. I'd rather pass it on. This was sent to me in PR by Florasis. I like this. It's really, really pretty. I'd keep it around for the packaging, but I'm already keeping something else from the brand for its packaging in my makeup memory box, and I don't need to keep everything for that reason. So this is really, really pretty. But I think I can, like, gift this to someone else. So I'm going to declutter it. I have some makeup from brands that are no longer around. We have Aether Beauty, the Rose Quartz palette. This one, I'm not sure what to do with. Let's put it on the maybe pile. And I have the Crystal, Moonlight Crystal palette. That's what this was called. It's blue, green, purples. I like this better than I did the other one. That's why that one's on the maybe pile now, because I'm like, what to do with you? I have my Sugar Pill Fun Size palette, and I've decided what I'm going to do with this. Because I mentioned in a video not too long ago that I was thinking of decluttering this, but you guys are right. This is too cute to get rid of, so this is going to go into a makeup memory box, but I'm no longer going to use it in my active makeup collection. It's an all matte rainbow palette, but it's too cute to get rid of, so makeup memory box time for sure. This is the Daybreak palette from LH Cosmetics. This is why I got the Aim Higher that I showed you earlier on. And I like this a lot. This works really well with brushes, but it swatches terribly. Some more Lime Crime then. And these are, again, things that I've had for such a long time, and I don't really reach for them. But I have the Prelude Chroma, and I just really like this color story, so I can't say no to that. The Immortalis is still, till this day, one of my favorite cool tone palettes, so not going anywhere. And then the Venus 3 is very similar to the Nabla Soul Blooming, but I tried decluttering this 2 years ago, and I just couldn't do it. I need to use this again in the springtime for sure. Like, I look at these and they are just really pretty, and if I already have something, I'd rather keep it around than get rid of it and buy something almost identical in a few weeks' time. You know what I mean? I'm not about that life. We have my Tartelette palettes. People have informed me that these newer ones are now magnetic. I'm not sure. I'm going to keep them as is. I'm not going to rearrange them. I have the Energy, which is the last one I got, and it will probably be, unless I do a really good cool tone palette, I'm going to make this the last Tarte palette I try because it's just too warm toned for my liking, but I love the formula of these. I have the Juicy, which is the pinky tones. My favorite till this day. It's super old by now, but the In Bloom is still so good. Great palette for beginners. And then we have the Toasted, which is one, again, of my favorite warm tone palettes. Continuing on then, we have the Persona Identity palette. This is the Identity 1, which I really enjoy. This is another really, really good neutral palette, so I'd like to keep that. We have the Identity 2, which, again, this needs to go onto the maybe pile because I like it, and I like some of these like really nice jewel tones it has, but the rest of it, not so sure. So maybe pile, Makeup by Mario, Ethereal Eyes. I love this thing to pieces, so keeping that one for sure. And then we have my Menagerie little family. And here, I'm not sure what to do with these. What would you guys do? Because I like these. I really enjoy the formula, but I don't really reach for these anymore. They were very much part of my 2018, I want to try all the colorful things phase that I had. So in terms of like really good colorful palettes, I like these. I have rearranged some of these as well because I've rearranged some of the shades from the Violet Ink into the Whale Song and the Flight Club because this had some neutrals in, and this is now just like an ultimate purple palette. So part of me is like, you need to keep this because this is a really good purple palette, and it is. It's got warm tone purples, it's got cool tone purples, there's everything you need in terms of a purple palette. And here's the thing, if I were to declutter things, I would probably start hunting down another really good purple palette. So I'm gonna keep it for, just to like save me from myself, you could say. I'd rather, like I said, I'd rather hang on to things I know I like than make myself buy other things. The Whale Song had a couple of weird shades in that were too similar to other things. Like when I used it on my eyes with brushes, they didn't look that distinct, and that was a bit of a shame. So it's blue greens. I like the Ace Beauty Oceanic better than this in terms of like what it does. But yeah, I do look at this again now that it's been reorganized, and like, yeah, we have some inky blues. We've got those greens. This lighter green is really pretty in the crease. I put in an extra shimmer. I think I like this still. The Feral is another one of the colorful palettes that I hold very near and dear to my heart. So this is not going anywhere because it doesn't have enough shimmers for my liking. But in terms of a colorful color story, I really do like this one. It just has a very unique vibe to it. So I like that, keeping it. The Pastel Pup, I have always said, you know, in terms of like a pastel palette, full-on pastel, this is the one I would select. And till this day, like, if I need a pastel, this is the one I reach for. These are colorful enough, they show up really well, but they are pastel, even on my fair skin. Together with the Creepy Cute, I'm covered when it comes to pastels if I hang on to this. So this way I have that space in my makeup collection filled as well. The Dragon Child is super old because this is from back when they were makeup monsters. And I look at this and I'm like, oh, these, especially these two. These two purples and this. That's the reason why I want to keep it. But it has this really pretty maroon shade. This red is really unique. These greens are nice and bright. We get some teals. Again, not enough shimmer for my liking. But now that I'm like, oh, I have so many other like shimmering things, and I do really like the packaging of this. So yeah, keeping all of my menagerie. I'm going to keep them. Yeah. And we're nearly there because this is the final section that I need to show you. I finally got to try another Glam Light palette. And the Glam Light Ghost Face has rekindled my love for Glam Light for sure. I can now see why this gets so much hype. I really like it. Do I necessarily need anything else by the brand? Maybe not. I hadn't shown you this yet, the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude. This was lying on top of some of the palettes that I was just showing you before. In terms of like a perfect neutral tone palette, this is definitely a contender. So keeping that for sure. And no need to reorganize it for sure. Like very often I'll do a spin-off video where I reorganize eyeshadow palettes that I would like to declutter, but then I want to pull shades out. And I don't feel that way this year, save for like my ColourPop Deja Brew with the Death Soap. I don't want to reorganize anything, which is rare for me. The Vive 90s. This is one I'm going to keep around for makeup purpose, like video purposes, because as cool toned as this looks, it just wasn't perfect for me. It pulled so much darker than what it looks like in the pan, which was a bit of a shame. But it is a really, really lovely palette in terms of the quality of the mattes especially. I didn't love the shimmers, but I can see why people like it. And I would like to keep it around for that reason. But I think it's a bit like the Patrick Ta, where I'm not going to keep it in my active makeup collection. I'm just going to put it in a box somewhere. Smoky Glam from Bella Beauty Bar. This was a brand that I hadn't tried before 2023. Can I even put this in frame? Like, we need to put Pat somewhere else for a second because this is too big. Else I can't show you this. But here she is. This is really pretty. It's cool toned. It's colorful. It's got plenty of shimmers. I just wish it had more shimmers. I want palettes to have 50% shimmers and 50% mattes. But this is really nice. It's really, really good quality. I just feel that a lot of these indie brands are getting very overpriced for what you get. Something like Gloss Gods is half the price of this. And I find this too big. And I'd rather have a 12 pan that's half the price that I actually reach for than something this big and bulky. I was mentioning Pat, and that's what we're going to be ending on. I have Utopian Dream. I already decluttered some of my motherships last year. This is the one I kept over the Divine Rose 2 because this is better for my skin tone. It's got all the shades I want if I want that peachy pink rose thing that Pat McGrath insists on promoting. And the same thing goes for the Moonlit Seduction. This one I kept over Divine Rose 1. It's just a bit more cool toned and a little less peach than that is. It's just a little bit better for my coloring. My favorite Pat McGrath palette, I'm just going to show it to you real quickly. I did a video in January with my Battle of the Palette series where I put all of my Pat McGrath palettes together in a video. And this one came out on top, which was no surprise to anyone, really, because this has been one of my favorite cool tone palettes for years. It's still available if you're looking for a good cool tone palette that has a pop of color, but is generally like a taupe leaning palette that's very, very heavenly and a great formula. Try this one. And then I just have my little maybe pile here. I'm thinking this Aether Beauty one. Yeah, I'm just not inspired by this color story, so this can go. I have plenty of neutral palettes, so this can go, and the brand is no longer around, so if I have one of them, I don't need both. The Identity 2 from Persona. What do you guys think? It is a really pretty jewel tone color story, but if I think Persona palettes in my collection, I would reach for the Identity 1 over this. So I did a quick count, and guess how many eyeshadow palettes I'm getting rid of? I'm getting rid of 51 eyeshadow palettes, which has me super excited because I didn't tell you an exact number when we got started because I didn't really know how many, but I was hoping I could get rid of 50, but I didn't want to jinx myself and like be very hopeful that I could. But yeah, I got rid of 51, which I'm super happy with. Some of this is definitely gonna go. Other things are things I keep around for review videos, or they're gonna go into a makeup box for sure. I will be doing some spin-offs now that I have decluttered my makeup collection, so you can look forward to a video all about me rearranging and cleaning up like my makeup collection now that it's all decluttered. I'm going to be having to put everything back into my drawers because it's a right old mess right now in this room. And I think that it's also a good idea if I take you through my makeup memory box sometime soon. So let me know in a comment down below if that's something you might be interested in, because I have loads of other like older products that I could then talk about with you for sure. So yeah, those are some videos you can look forward to if that's something you're interested in. For now, just know that I make 4 videos a week on this channel. I have a second channel where I post once a week, and I have a blog where I do regular reviews, so you can join me every single day for a bit of new content. So I hope you're here for that, and subscribe to the channel, and then I hope to see you very, very soon in a new video. Thank you for checking this one out anyways, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.